Alright, my little math friends, we are back and now we're moving on to 8.2. This is supposed to be B, 8.2b, and we're going to learn how to draw a triangle. Now that doesn't really seem too complicated. You guys should know how to draw a triangle by now, but this is going to be certain kinds of triangles, okay? For example, take a look at this here. We want to draw a triangle that has angles of 30 degrees and 80 degrees and a length of one side that is 2 inches. Okay, so our certain triangle has to match this criteria here. Okay, we're going to be using a protractor. We're going to be using that complex protractor, so it's going to have a ruler attached to it, so we won't really need a ruler. But if you don't have a complex protractor, if you're doing this at home, then you can grab a regular protractor and a ruler. That will be just fine. Okay, so let's take a look at this and let's see what we need to do to draw this triangle. Okay, so here's the triangle. We kind of went through this. We talked about what it is we need to draw. So we're going to do these 5 steps right here. Starting with step number 1. Alright, we're going to use a ruler to draw a line that is 2 inches in length. Okay, if you're using the complex protractor, you can do that. Okay, so here is our first step. Step number 1. Okay, I drew a line segment that is 2 inches in length. Alright, let's take a look at step number 2. Alright, so you want to be doing these steps on your paper as I'm showing you with the protractor. Okay, so step number 1, we're done with that. Step number 2, place the center of the protractor on the left end of the 2-inch line, then make a mark at the 30-degree angle line. Okay, so let's take a look and see what that would look like. Alright, here is my protractor. Okay, I placed it on the 2-inch line right here on my 180 degree line, and I placed it so that the center of the protractor is on the left end of the line that we just drew, our 2-inch line. Okay, so this line matches perfectly up right here. And then what I did is, because the line is over here on this side, I'm using these numbers over here, and I need to make a 30-degree angle, which means we're going to use the inside numbers because the inside numbers start at 0. That's where we always begin. So I go to 30 degrees and I put a mark right there. Alright, that was step number 2. So we're done with 1. We are done with 2. Step number 3, draw a straight line connecting the 2-inch line to the 30-degree mark. Okay, no problem. Let's take a look at what that would look like. Alright, I just flipped the protractor around. I connected this end, which was at the center of the protractor, to our 30-degree mark. You can still see a little bit of that mark right there, and I made a straight line. Okay, so now my triangle is starting to take shape. Okay, this is going to be my 30-degree angle. Alright, we'll move on to the next step. Okay, we did step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Repeat step 2 on the right side of the 2-inch line to make the 80-degree mark. Okay, so we're going to go and repeat like we did with step number 2. Let's take a look at what that looks like. Okay, so here I have my protractor. Here is my 2-inch line. Right down here, I've placed it on the 180 line, and this time I have the center of the protractor at the right end of the 2-inch line. Okay, so there's the 30-degree angle. There's the line I just made. Here's my original line. I got the center of the protractor right there, and what I did is, because the line is over here on this side of the protractor, that means I'm using these numbers over here, and I have to start with the side of the numbers that starts at 0, which is the outside numbers. And so I'm starting at 0, and the directions were to make a mark at 80 degrees. So that's exactly what I did. There's my mark at 80 degrees. Alright, so I did that step. It is done. Now I'm going to move on to the next step. Alright, we did step 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now we're on step 5. We're just going to connect the last side of the triangle with the mark we just made. Okay, so there was my 80-degree mark, and I just lined up the edge of the protractor from the 80-degree mark down here to where the center of the protractor was to create the last side of my triangle. Okay, now when you make these triangles, it's hard to get them to match up completely. Like there's the end of my 30-degree line that I drew. It's hard to get them to match up completely, so if you have a little bit of overhang, that is fine. It's no big deal. Here we have our 30-degree angle. Here we have our 80-degree angle. Those were the two angles that we needed, and there is our 2-inch line. Okay, so we just drew that triangle exactly like the way they told us. Alright? Okay, I have a try this problem for you. See if you can draw this triangle on your paper, and then we'll take a look at the pictures of the steps that I did, and we'll see what you guys came up with compared to what I had. Okay, let's take a look. Let's see how you guys did. We'll go through the steps. We wanted a 65-degree angle, we wanted a 45-degree angle, and we wanted a line segment of 4 inches. That's what's going to make up the triangle. Let's take a look at the pictures and the steps and what I did. Okay, here is step number 1. I drew the 4-inch line segment. That was the first step. Alright. Step number 2, I lined my protractor up with the 4-inch line that I just drew, and I put the center over here on the left side, and since my line is over here on this side of the protractor, I'm going to be using these numbers. I'm using the inside numbers so that it starts at 0, and I made my first mark at 65 degrees. Okay? So then I flipped that protractor around, and I made a straight line from the end of the line to the 65-degree mark. Okay, so I did that step already. I connected those two lines. That is that step right there. I just connected those. Alright, now I am making my 45-degree mark. Okay, so this time I move the protractor down. I have it at the right end of the 4-inch line. Okay, the right end of the 4-inch line is right here on the center of my protractor. That 4-inch line is lined up with my 180 line down here. Okay, so now I need to make a mark at 45 degrees. Since my line is on this side of the protractor, I'm going to be using these numbers right here. I'm using the outside since it starts at 0, and I'm going up to 45, and that's where I made my mark. Okay, so now in step number 4, I'm going to connect those together, which is exactly what I did here. And notice what happened. I connected it. There's my 45-degree mark right there, but I had to connect it to keep going so that these two lines of the triangle will meet. Okay, so feel free to extend that if you need to so that it meets. Alright, so there's step number 4. And step number 5, then I just had to make this line just a little bit longer to connect it up here to meet for the end of the triangle. Okay, so all that together, I have my 65-degree angle, my 45-degree angle, and my 4-inch line segment. Okay, so I just completed that triangle just like the directions said to draw it. Alright, when you guys come back to class, we'll be making some more triangles just like this. Don't forget the check-in problems to do at the end of the video, and I'll see you guys next time in class when we make some more of these triangles. Thanks for watching.